This segment of the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast is supported in part by Douglas Outdoors, serious rods for serious anglers. Go to douglasoutdoors.com and check out their new lineup of Era rods that retail under $100. Norsk Lithium, the lithium battery that you need is just a click away. Go to norsklithium.com and check out some of the lightest lithium batteries in the market with the best warranty in the business. Mariner Sales. Located in the heart of the DFW Metroplex, Mariner Sales has the largest inventory of kayak and kayak accessories in North Texas. You can also shop online at marinersales.com.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome once again to the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast. You're going to have to excuse me because every time I missed a week of not doing a live show, next week it feels like I'm doing it for the first time all over. But I think we're good. I think we're doing it good this time. So anyways, we're going to have another great episode like always. This week I got Jeff Malott, who recently posted a video about a week ago about being burnt out and kind of trying to rediscover his love for kayak bass fishing and tournament fishing. I was happening to be using YouTube at the time. To be honest with you, and you can comment on the comment section, I don't watch TV anymore. Well, I do watch some good TV shows lately. I like Silo from Apple TV. I watched the new Star Wars Andor. That was pretty good. But anyways, other than that, I just usually watch YouTube videos before I go to sleep. So I watched Jeff Malott videos. He had just posted. They only had like 1 or 2 views, and I don't think anybody had commented at that point. And I told him, hey, I really like the video. Why don't you come up next week and we can talk about it? Because I thought it was interesting. Well, it turns out the video is gone super viral. And now it looks like I'm chasing clout. And I promise you, I'm not. When I saw the video, I was, I think, the first one to view it. So even though it may seem like I'm chasing clout, I'm not. But anyways, we're going to have Jeff Malott. If you don't know Jeff Malott, he's co-host of the Kayak Bass Nation along with Ryan Lambert. Been friends with these two dudes for a while now, at least through social media, and seen them on national trails. Enjoy their content. So I was excited to have him on the podcast. He's been on the podcast quite a few times to talk about that. But I think this is usually around the time of the year where people that had those kind of like, new year goals in January to fish more tournaments and to, cash some checks and do runs for the AOY, versus, whether it's local or national, kind of start, getting their priorities reset. And all of a sudden, bass fishing is not that important. And maybe those goals were down the drain, and now it's time to focus on vacation. But we're going to be talking about it. Like I mentioned, Jeff's going to give his side of things. And if you ever feel like you're burnt out, whether it's kayak bass fishing or any other things, this might be a good episode, because we're also going to be talking about, one of the things that you can avoid having to be burned out. And a lot of it has to be with goal oriented and all that, and managing also social media. So without further ado, let's bring in Jeff Malott. Jeff, buddy, how you doing, man?
Hey, man, what's happening?
Not much. How's things at the Nation?
Oh, we're doing good. We had a big show last night. Had Christine and Luke on from the latest Bassmaster event over there on 10 Killer. They shared the juice with us a little bit, told us how they won. It was fun. It was fun interview with them.
I didn't get to watch it just because Wednesdays I got stuff. Now I'm kind of sad you guys moved to Wednesday, just because Wednesdays I got stuff in the evening. But I'm looking forward to listening on when it comes up on the podcast, because I thought it was interesting how Christian Fisher ended up winning, was sitting at second spot after they won. And then if you would have asked her or anybody, hey, you're going to drop down to 24th on day 2 and still end up winning it, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I had actually texted her on Sunday. When I saw she was leading, I sent her a message of my granddaughter. I know she follows my granddaughter's story, to try to motivate her. I'm like, close this thing out. What are you doing? She was in the lead. And she texted me back at the end of the day and said, "I'm sorry, I let her down. I didn't get it done." She was convinced that she didn't win because she didn't call up late. Had no idea that she won until she got to the weigh-in. So she thought she dropped the ball, and she actually didn't. She closed it.
It's crazy, man. Like bass fishing, like you can have a horrible day one and then a great day two, feel good about yourself and not catch a check, and then vice versa, and you end up winning. So
yeah, I mean, look at Luke. He finished second. He was 14th and 8th and ended up second. So consistency matters, you know.
That it does. All right, so you had a very interesting video on YouTube. I actually have it pulled up here. I was kind of thinking we can view it and then talk about it. But before we do, it's titled "I Quit Kayak Fishing." And by the way, I'm curious. You got 299 likes. It's up to 218 comments. How many views?
It's like 15,000. That's viral for me, man. That's like 15,000 views.
You're a regular teenager on a TikToker.
I know, man. It's crazy.
So what drove you to make this video, and what is the video about for those that haven't watched it?
Yeah, you know, for the last couple of years, I said it in the video. It's like if you watch the podcast, I mean, we talk kayak fishing every week. I'm around the sport. I love the sport. I've been doing this for well over a decade. But for the last couple of years, I felt like I was forcing myself to fish a couple tournaments. But essentially, if it wasn't tournament fishing, I wasn't even fishing at all. I wasn't going recreational fishing. I wasn't pre-fishing. I was kind of just going through the motions and going to a couple tournaments here and there. And it lost my desire to do it, you know, and I kind of stepped back this year, the last month or so, and thought, what happened? And I reflected on that and kind of came to some conclusions about why. And I just wondered if there were other people that felt the same way. So I made a video about it, threw it out there like, hey, if anyone feels the same way, put it in the comments. And lo and behold, a lot of people felt the same way. The solution to that is I'm fishing some local tournaments this year, going to get back to my love of being on the river more. And I'll end up back on the national tournaments at some point. But right now, I just wanted to take a break, kind of reset, fish local, fish recreational, and reset why I started doing this to begin with. So I made the video just more for self therapy than anything. I didn't think anybody would watch it or comment on it or anything. And it kind of blew up. So it was cool to see, and that other people sort of had the same feelings that I did, you know?
Yeah, I really related to that video. What we're going to do is actually, because even if you're watching on the live or if you're listening on the podcast, whenever we upload it on the MP3 format. And by the way, if you're not familiar with our show, you can listen on any podcast streaming platform, basically the most popular ones. We're up there. Look for us on the Bass Kayaks and Beers. But what we can do is just do a play on it, and we can stop and talk about some of the stuff that on the video that I thought was interesting. So let me go ahead and play that.
Kayak fishing. And by quit kayak fishing, I mean tournament fishing, which for me, unfortunately, both go hand in hand. When I wasn't tournament fishing, I wasn't fishing at all. And you all probably don't care why I quit, but I wanted to share my story because I thought maybe some of you have had the same struggles or same thoughts or run up against the same barriers. Stay tuned to the end because I'm going to tell you why I'm dipping my toe back in and starting to get more involved with actual tournament fishing and more recreational fishing this year. But I want to give you a few examples of what had me pulling back over the last couple. So let's get into it. Now, these are in no particular order, but number one, over a decade that I've been kayak fishing, the manpower aspect has been taken out of the sport. And I don't expect any sport to mold its rules to what I want. I understand the evolution of the sport is motors. We'll probably have 2 motors on a kayak here in the next year or two. But when I got into it, kayak fishing was a replacement for basketball. It filled the competitive void that when I couldn't keep playing basketball at any sort of competitive level, kayak fishing filled that void, not only because it was a competitive outlet, but it required physical stamina and strength. The majority of people paddled. The few unicorns that had pedal drive systems, Hobie and Native had maybe just dipped in, but Hobie was the only one. The Mirage Drive was the only one that existed then, and not many people had those. It was mostly a paddle game, and tournament fishing was a mental game, which fishing is always a mental game, but it became even more of one then because the weather mattered, the conditions mattered, because you had to physically move the kayak, paddle it.
YouTube Premium, bro.
When's the last time you had a veg?
Or pedal it to where you were going to fish.
All right, let me pause it there for a second. Yeah, you can tell how cheap I am. I'm not gonna get YouTube Premium, so that might be an issue with this video. But we can deep into that. So I felt the same way, and what kind of funny about the video is when I watched it the first time, this is like so relatable. Like I can't find anything that I disagree with it. But I felt the same way. Like I enjoyed paddling. I enjoyed or pedaling. I didn't get into motors until last year. Now that I have a motor, I'll be honest with you, I can't imagine going on the water without using a motor, especially on tournaments. But I think one of the things it adds to the cost, right? Like if you're not doing the whole social media and you're not getting sponsors, or if you don't have a kayak shop that sponsors you, then that, we're talking about going from a hobby that's $2,000 or $3,000 to maybe $4,000 or $5,000. And that I think it's part of it. When you look back at it, would you want tournaments to say, hey, you know what? No more motors. We just want to do manpower. Would you ever love to see that? What would be your reaction to that?
I mean, if there was a man-powered only trail, that'd be cool. That would be cool. But I said in the video, I don't expect a sport to mold itself to an old boomer like me and make rules to suit me. I understand the evolution. I understand that I've said this many times on our podcast. I understand most of the folks that are involved in this, they are not kayakers. They don't give a crap about a kayak. They're fishermen. Yeah. They want to fish. They don't care if you let them put a gas outboard back there, they do it. They want to fish. They don't care about the kayak part. But I liked the physical part of, hey, it's windy today. I'm going across to that creek and you're not, because I'm in better shape than you. I missed that part. You know what I mean? And that's gone. Yeah. And it's probably never coming back, but it's just something that affected me a little bit.
Do you think when you look at the Hobie BOS, when it went to motors, did you lament it that was the only major trail that was non-motorized?
No, I thought it was good that they were that way, because it was a different, like, who wants 3 or 4 trails that have, 5 fish limits, motor, all the same rules? I mean, why would you know what I mean? You need them to be different. That's why I think Native series is doing well, because it's different.
Yeah.
I thought the Hobie series stood apart because it was different, but they were feeling the heat, man. People wanted the motors. And I understand the majority wants that. I'm not crying about it or anything. I'm just saying, from someone that used that as a motivator, because I said in my video, we hadn't got to that part yet, but like, I've never considered myself the most talented fisherman ever. Mm-hmm. I never will be, but I would kind of outgrind folks physically on bad weather days. It was cold. I'd still pedal or paddle or whatever. Even when I was paddling, I would I'd go miles and other people wouldn't. And that was my edge, because I wasn't as good of a fisherman. And that being gone, it was kind of like, well, man, this sucks. I don't want to throttle down and go across the lake. I mean, if I wanted that, it's the old just buy a boat thing. And I don't necessarily feel that way. I'm just saying that affected me.
I think it takes the drive and the want out of winning more. Like you mentioned, I for one saw myself. I remember fishing Cattle Lake the first time of the Hobie Bass Nation. Only a handful of us went from Johnson's Marina, I think it's what it called, all the way to what's the name of that lake? It's Cattle Lake, but it has a different name that's up north of Cattle. Forgot the name of that lake. I think it starts with a C or something.
There's Bistineau, and then there's another one down there.
It's Cattle, but it's right in top of Cattle. That's a different name.
I got you.
But anyways, you had to go against the current through the government ditch, and that was a paddle. It will take you literally like an hour to get to your spot, and You're going against current for the most part. But I was willing to do that. Like, not a lot of people are willing to do that.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And that I think levels out the competition in a way that it's not just about the talent in fishing, is like how much you want it, how much you're physically willing to sacrifice in order to get your 5 fish. And I think that's missing. I can see that.
And I know that the fishermen that can catch them are going to catch them whether you give them motors or not. Not saying that at all.
Yeah.
You can give motors, no motors, 5 motors. The same top anglers are still the top anglers. They're still good, but that physical aspect, I just felt like that was an important part of kayak fishing. Not that, I mean, sitting in a small boat all day is still physical, but you know, you can go out there and have one leg and one arm and get across the lake just like everybody else if you got a motor. You know what I mean? So it's not as physical as it used to be, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot easier. Like I can tell you now that I have a motor.
I had a motor, dude. I had an autopilot for a year and a half.
Yeah,
I had one and I sold it. All I have now is pedal only.
Oh, really? You went back to pedal?
Yeah, I did that last year. Yeah,
what was the reason for that?
I was like, I was frankly like, I don't like this. Not the autopilot's a great boat, but like I got into this as extra. Like when I go fishing, it's part of my exercise.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, every time I go, in my brain, it's part of my exercise routine. And I'm like, here I am, not exercising, spending all day eating Slim Jims out here. I need the exercise. So I got rid of it and pedal only and paddle.
I'm not joking when I tell you, since I got the motor last year, I've put on like 15 pounds.
Yeah.
And it used to be that I would go at least once a week and pedal, like, you know, depending where I'm fishing, like anywhere from 2 to 5 miles. And now I just go to my spot, pedal around where I'm fishing, but crossing the lake is going to be, I mean, it's from point A to point B. I'm pedaling maybe like half a mile now compared to like 2 to 5 miles a year ago. Yeah. And it really does. It really affects body in motion, stays in motion, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Another
thing that I think that I enjoy about this video, and we were just having this conversation. I don't want to name names, but I think everybody talks about it. I think everybody's going to realize what I'm talking about. I understand. I agree with for example, with forward fishing sonar. I've said it before. Every now and then, not that I hamper on that point, but just to make a point about what we're talking about. I understand forward fishing sonar is not, in my opinion, shouldn't be included in tournament fishing, elites, whatever. It just takes away from from different aspects of learning to catch bass fishing. That being said, there's a line, and I think you touched on it, where you realize things don't need to cater to me all the time.
Yeah.
Like if the majority of the people want this and viewership is not being affected by this, because on elites and televised tournaments, it's not just about what the anglers want, it's also about the public. Because the public is not watching, then what's the point of doing this? Because then there's no money coming in. That's a whole different conversation. But this notion that some old heads start making videos, one video after another, and they proclaim themselves like, you know, like their savior, or the generation's trying to save bass fishing, where the reality is you're just doing it for the clickbait. The day the algorithm says, hey, posting videos about hating on forward-facing sonar is no longer getting you clicks, that's the day you'll see them stop posting videos on it. Because the reality is, I'm not saying everybody, but there's some of them, you know who they are. They just every week it has to be, and then something hateful, and then highlighting hateful things that are said about anglers that are following the same rules that everybody's following and are winning, whether they're using forward-facing sonar or not. And I think that's like, come on, this guy's the kid that won the Bassmaster Classic. I mean, the kid wanted using the same rules as everybody else, and he put up a historic bag. So there's no need to hate on that, basically.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it is what it is. And it's people, one side of people will say, you know, adapt or get out of the way, you old codger, you know. But and that's sort of true, but to me, it's like, you know what? If you're gonna be a high level tournament angler and you're gonna do that, you better figure out a way to beat that, or just adapt and do it, or just not be a high level. You know, don't you can't travel the whole country and fish all these tournaments all summer long with all the different conditions and not have every weapon at your disposal.
Exactly.
Especially on the highest level. So and if you don't want that, I don't really want any of that. And that's kind of the point of my video. I don't want that, and I'm still going to fish some, but I'm going to do it my way. And if it works out, it works out.
I think that's the point. I think Drew Gregory mentioned that before, when he started making his oh my God, a kayak adventure series. It's like, I'm gonna fish my way. And if it works out that I'm winning, if I fall behind and I'm not winning anymore, then I'm not fishing it. But I'm gonna fish my way. Because
like for Drew, I'll use Drew as an example, man.
Yeah.
So rules got changed because of his wild portaging and the way he would launch. He would use the rules to his advantage, find a random spot to put in 10 miles upriver or whatever it is within the rules, right? Well, they changed the rules to where everybody had to launch within a certain boundary. So what did he do? He used the rule of motors to be able to motor way up there anyway. So, without any of that, could he paddle up there? Probably not, even though he's a great paddler. He's using all the rules at his disposal to compete his way.
Yeah.
Right. His way. So, good on him. I feel like kayak fishing for me is a physical activity, and I want to keep it that way. So if I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do it my way.
I think also from a commercial standpoint for selling the product to viewership, it's like, can we offer something different? It's not, they're in a small plastic, but what's the difference? Well, there's plastic and it's smaller. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. Whereas when you talk about viewership, if and when kayak tournaments become something that you can show on TV and people will actually tune in and watch it, I think the wild side and like you mentioned, the physical side of kayak bass fishing is what separates us from the boat fishing. It's funny. I mentioned this on the podcast last week, and I'm going to mention again, and not to hammer, not to beat a dead horse, but I was struggling on that tournament up until the last hour. Like, I had no fish in the last hour. I caught my 5 fish, just beating the bag and throwing something different and kind of reading the layout. Okay, nothing is on this side. Let me move to this side. Let me make micro adjustments to see if I can get what I want. And what ended up happening is I caught my 5 fish, all while there was 4 or 5 boaters on a tournament. This was Lake OHIV. And they were all, I hope they got in the money because they're going to need it for their chiropractor. Because I was watching them as I'm catching fish, and they're all for like an hour just staring at a screen and yo-yoing their bait. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't mean to be hateful. I'm not, if that's what they enjoy doing, but God forbid I ever get that. Like, if I ever get to that point, I'm just going to quit. Like, it seems so unnatural to be staring at a screen and just yo-yoing a bait up and down, up and down. I guarantee you none of them were catching anything.
Yeah.
Or at least anything of value. And I was like, that seems so unnatural, but it is what it is. I mean,
hey, to prove my point that I'm going to fish my way, I've got a video coming out soon that this last tournament, local tournament, I went and I took all electronics off my boat, took the batteries out.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
No graph, and I went and fished the tournament and did okay. So that video will be coming out pretty soon.
Looking forward to it.
And I saw what you just said. I saw dudes out in the middle with their scopes on, not catching anything.
It's one of them. There was 2 young kids. They were just cursing out loud. I'm like, what do you expect? I mean, anyways. I mean, it's cool if you're trophy hunting, then I guess that's what it is,
Hey, it's the juice, man. I guarantee you this summer, when they're out there suspended, and if you don't have it, you're probably screwed. But you know what?
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. All right, let's go back. So I want to kind of talk a couple of things more about this video that I thought were interesting. Let's go back to the video.
So 30-mile-an-hour winds, bad rain coming in, whatever the case may be, it affected your decision making, and I thrived on number 1, staying in shape for kayak fishing. Number 2, being able to outgrind folks physically on the water that were probably better fishermen than I was, because I've never considered myself the best fisherman, the most talented fisherman, but I could outgrind and outwork a lot of people. If you got to a tournament and the weather was going to be bad, the conditions were going to be rough, you almost could guarantee that you had 80% of the field beat, because they were going to stay close to the ramp, stay in some pocket. And if you're willing to cross that big mouth of a creek and get to the juice, you could win. And that's gone with the advent of all the modern boats with motors, trolling motors, electric outboards, things like that. And that has definitely had an effect on me pulling back from the sport, which is a me issue, not a sport issue. I know the sport's going to evolve. No, another reason,
that,
number two, is just a little bit of burnout. I mean, I've been doing kayak fishing since basically 2011, 2012, and you do something long enough, you get a little bit burned out. So I love fishing local tournaments early, but really my thing was I love traveling and going to new buddies' water, fishing in different states. I had a lot of fun doing that, but that gets old, especially the little older you get. Sometimes it gets old and the grind gets a little bit old. And I got a little burnt out on doing it. And sometimes, some years, over the last couple of years, I felt myself going just because I felt like I should go, which is a silly reason to do anything. You should only do things you want to do when it comes to hobbies and recreation anyway. And, you know, I would leave on day one sometimes. I'd have a rough morning or even catch a limit, but just not a very big limit. And I'd go grab lunch and decide to head on back to Arkansas because my back was sore or whatever. I was talking myself out of competing and finishing the tournament. So that burnout had me pulling back and essentially had me quit fishing for the last couple of years.
I wanted to touch on that because I thought that was interesting. I've been in occasions going back to last week or 2 weeks ago when I fished OHIV that I didn't catch anything. I've never, and I'm not trying to compare myself to you because I understand. I totally understand. Like, I'm not going to judge you for quitting after day one or halfway through day one. I couldn't ever allow myself to quit on myself. Now, that being said, if I skunk on day one or catch one, or if I didn't catch a limit on day one, I'm fishing a 2-day tournament, I would consider, let me fish another body of water, not because I quit. It's just, I don't want to be in the way of somebody earning a check by, getting to a spot. It was more of like, I'm not quitting. I'm still going to fish, but I'm going to fish in a way that, I'm willing to sacrifice my spot, or maybe I'll just go to a lake nearby that's not under tournament.
Yeah.
Whenever you did that, was there any remorse? Did you ever feel bad? Like, you ever had that moment where you're like, can't look at myself in the mirror for doing that? Not, and I don't mean to be judgmental. I'm just having an honest question.
No, look, I'm an ultimate competitor. I would do anything. Like, if we're playing a sport, I'm trying to win that sport. The problem there that was happening is I didn't want to be there in the first place. I didn't even want to go. So I should never have went. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was burned out. I'm like, we're talking about it on the podcast. I should probably roll down there and finish this one. But I never wanted to go in the first place. So I was looking for an excuse to leave. I was leaving tournaments sometimes with a decent limit. Like, there was no reason to leave. But I'd be like, nah, my neck's jacked up. I got to work early. And it's because I didn't want to be there to begin with. I was burned out. I should have never signed up. And that was on me.
Do you feel like part of it is being the face or co-host of the Kayak Bass Nation? Like, it was expected of you to somehow carry the torch? I know, and I'm not saying this just because you're here. I firmly believe, and I've said this before, Kayak Bass Nation, for all the slack that you guys get for, and I get it, sometimes, the group chat gets a little bit too rowdy, or sometimes I think they make too much fun of stuff, even on your podcast. And you and I'm honest with you guys. When I don't like something that's being said or being talked about, I'll tell you guys. I don't usually post it. I usually call you, text you. But for all the negativity you guys received in the past, I do believe that Kayak Bass Nation has helped with the growth and popularity of the sport, because it also gave home to some of the people that were not happy with the status quo that was at that time. And the reality is, at that time, when you guys started, it was dominated by one organization, and particularly just one person, for better or worse. I'm not making comments on negative. I'm just stating the truth. That's what it was. It was one face of the organization, of the whole community. And that didn't sit well with everybody. So it Kayak Bass Nation kind of gave a home for that. And I think it helped propel the sport to another level, which is where we are now. Do you ever felt like, well, it was like expected of you to carry that torch, or be present at tournaments or anything like that?
Not really. It was just because I was fishing tournaments long before that, before we did the podcast and the group and stuff. I don't know. I mean, I was burnt out for a few years, and I should have taken a break a couple years ago. That's really the deal, just from doing it a long time. And I didn't like the direction of a lot of the tech, even though I was trying to use it. I was, having a motorized boat, and I was getting bigger graph screens and doing all the stuff, but I didn't want to do that, but I was doing it anyway. And I was just kind of burnt out, looking for an excuse to get out of there early. Even on a pretty decent day, I would do that. And I said it later in that video, I've got some pretty messed up back and neck issues that also would drive me up a wall sometimes. And I would use that as an excuse to hit the eject button sometimes. So really, I think it was just burnout. Those events particularly, I probably should have never signed up for to begin with. Part of the draw for signing up for them is, even though I wasn't really into the fishing because I wasn't practicing hard, or even, like I said, not even fishing around the house much, was I still do like seeing all the guys, seeing all the homies and hanging out. I like that part. So I don't regret going for that part at all, but I should have throttled back on the actual competition and got my mind right before I started signing up again, which is what I'm doing now.
Does being the host of Kayak Bass Nation kind of weigh on some of the burnout? Like, people always coming up to you or Ryan and, hey, what do you think about this? Like, it seems like you always have to be ready for an opinion, or you always have to weigh in on a situation, or you always have to weigh in on something. And for the most part, there's a lot of, I'm not going to say the kayak bass fishing community, there's a lot of negativity, because the reality is the community, like you mentioned, when we go to tournaments, it's pretty much a great community. Like 90% of the interactions are going to be positive and are going to be awesome, and you're going to make new friends, and you're going to learn new stuff, and you're going to make new connections that you may be able to go again and fish again at some other point for fun and all that. That's the reality of it. But with you guys being in social media and people always coming up to you, hey, this angler had a guide with him while he was fishing, taking photographs. That's an advantage. This guy was portaging. This guy was bending boards. Does it ever became a thing where it's like, okay, I'm tired of having to deal with all the negative stuff that people come to me for advice?
No, not really. I mean, we're just regular old dudes like everybody else that fish some of these tournaments. I mean, like Ryan's fishing less than me now. I mean, he's so busy, he can't fish. And that part of it has always been fun, to be honest. I mean, yes, does it get annoying sometimes with some of the nitpicky stuff we get in the DMs about so-and-so did this with his identifier or whatever, whatever. Yeah, I guess. But no, that really has never been a deal. And it's funny, you mentioned we tried to give multiple people a voice for the sport, and because one organization dominated it, and now we've come full circle, 6-7 years later, and one organization dominates. Everything's Bassmaster now, except the person that running that org is a good, honest man. So we're blessed to have Steve-O.
And one thing I appreciate about Steve-O is he's understand. And by the way, AJ McWhorter, I can also this applies for AJ McWhorter as well. Yeah, both of them knew when it was time for them to show their face and kind of bring some stability to something that, some issue that might come up, and then, but at the same time, not steal the spotlight from the rest, not have a monopoly on the spotlight. And that's what I love about them. It was like, we're here for the community. The community's not here for us, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that video, and we're talking about tournaments, and the fact of the matter is, look, tournaments aren't for everybody, and tournaments aren't the sport. The sport is much bigger than that. So if you enjoy fishing the creek or paddling around your local river or small lake, whatever, just because you don't fish tournaments or don't fish as many tournaments, it doesn't mean anything. The sport is carried by the folks that don't travel all over the country fishing tournaments, because that's only a handful of people. The majority of folks that buy fishing kayaks and go out and go fishing are not high-level tournament anglers.
Yeah, and I've never understood the hatred or the I don't know, like that interjecting your opinion on something that you're not really part of. Like you mentioned, the majority of people are here to have fun and enjoy it. Not everybody goes to tournaments. The vast majority don't go to tournaments. And then you have, well, that's not a boat. Well, forward-facing sonar. Well, motors. I'm like, what does that have to do with you enjoying your sport? You don't like
That's
motors?
Right.
Don't use a motor.
That's right.
You like rivers? Go fish on a river. You like lakes? Go fish on a lake. Like, that should never, what somebody else does and what other organization does should not take away from what you love doing. Like, I've never understood that.
That's right. And tournaments are a lot of fun. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I loved all the, for the most part, all the time I spent doing it. I'll do it again. I'm fishing with our local club this year that I kind of skipped the last few years, didn't fish with them. So they're a lot of fun, but you can't let that be all you do for fishing. I mean, because there's way more to fishing and enjoying the outdoors than just that.
That's another good point that you touched on the video is at the beginning of the video. I myself last year, for example, okay, if I don't have enough time to fish, then I need to be practicing for this tournament.
Yeah.
So every time I went out fishing, it was like, well, I need to go to this lake. It's not the lake that I want to go. It's not what I want to do. It's not maybe the technique, but I need to do it if I'm going to be part of the tournament. Because again, like you said, we fish the way we want to fish. But the reality is when you are on a tournament and you're already investing money, Airbnb, gas, tournament fees, and all that, you have to be flexible. You have to be a jack of all trades. Be comfortable with power fishing, with finesse fishing. That's a different thing. This is not what other people are doing affects you. It's like if you want to win a check, then you may have to fish in a way that you wouldn't necessarily, or fish lakes, or spend your free time practicing for a tournament where you'd rather be on another lake.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I played a lot of golf in the past, and I mean, if you want to be good, you got to practice. And same thing, if you're going to be good in tournaments, you better practice and practice appropriately. And when I say burnout, that was part of it. Is my favorite thing to do, man. If you could say you only get to do one kind of fishing ever again, period, is to float the river. And you know how many times I floated the river over these tournament seasons? Like maybe once a year at best, because I'm too busy practicing or going to some, you know what I mean? So you can't do that. You got to have balance.
It is true. I had a buddy of mine who's just got into bass fishing. He's not into kayak bass fishing yet, but so he wanted me to teach him a little bit about bass fishing. On his before he got married, on his bachelor's trip, we hired a guide at Lake Fork, and I remember him setting a hook was something that he was not good at, and he was lose fish all the time. The other day, he texted me. I took him to a little creek over here behind a Starbucks by 121, Little Bird Creek. We caught a bunch of like 2, even a couple of 3-pounders. And I forgot how fun it is to just go to a creek in the middle of downtown Dallas or Fort Worth and actually catch a couple of bass. Like, I don't need to get up at 5 a.m. every day and load up 150-pound kayak with all the gear and everything and bring 8 rods to have fun. Like, I forgot how much fun it is to just go to a creek, the ditch, street side, and just fish and have fun.
That's right. If you watch Creek Fishing Adventures or Larry Melton, some of those channels, and they do a lot of that, it's like you sit there and watch it, and you're almost jealous of it. Like, well, I can do that too. Why the heck do I got to pre-fish every second I'm free? I'm gonna go to the creek. I'm gonna go to the river.
Dalton has one of the most popular kayak bass fishing channels. By now it's got to be well over 100,000.
Oh yeah, he's followers. Way up there. He's pushing 200.
Yeah, and it's not this, and I say disrespect, but it's not like when I think about fishing videos, one of the best ones at editing is, whether you hate them or like them, whatever. But the reality is, one of the best ones with edits and conversation and being that persona in front of the camera is John B from the Google Squad.
Yeah.
The quality of his show is better than most cable TV fishing shows. That's the reality of it. But John Dalton, again, this is not a dig on John Dalton. The fact that he just has this nonchalant approach with, super simple, I'm going to just hit go record button, and there's not going to be this fancy editing or B-rolls. It's just going to be out fishing. And it really shows like how much people just enjoy the simplicity of it.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to get back to that because that's where we all probably started fishing. And I just got a text on my watch, Armando. My wife is watching this live in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, his accent is amazing. So there you go.
I don't know what to do with that information, but
I don't know. I'm kind of mad that she said it. I don't know.
Watch out now, Kenny. Much respect. By the way, well, let's continue this video because I wanted to see more about this video. No, hold up. I haven't done screen share yet. There we go.
Years. Another thing, and this kind of goes along with the motor thing, is I'm not a big fan of the technology arms race in fishing in general. And of course, if it's anywhere in fishing, it's going to be in kayak fishing. I'm not a live scope guy. I don't own live scope. I'm not going to get into that argument on here because once again, a sport or an activity, a competition shouldn't mold its rules to me or to any particular anglers. The rules are the rules. And I have to adapt or not adapt, and that's just the way it is. But I don't like it, and because I don't like it, it had me pulling back from fishing tournaments because I feel like it takes away from I would call it the magic or the instinct of the sport. And I know live scope fans will say it doesn't catch them. I get that. I fished around folks with live scope, and they didn't catch anything. So I understand that. I just personally didn't like it and still don't really like it. And it had me taking a step back from competition. Now I've got a video coming out soon where I went and fished a tournament. I took the graph and the electronics completely off my kayak just to see if is it possible to compete and win without it. You know, my son says if you don't have scope, you're entering a gunfight with a knife, and sometimes that might be true, but I wanted to see if it's possible. So I have a video coming out on that soon, and I've decided I'm going to fish how I want to fish, and that's why I'm easing back into the sport more, and I'm going to fish how I'm going to fish, and whether I have scope or not, and I'm going to try to enjoy the competition regardless. And then the last thing that had me basically not fishing the last few years, I've always exercised and tried to stay in pretty good shape, but I haven't kept my diet dialed in, things like that, and I've got some pretty good neck and pretty bad neck and back problems that really can flare up. I've even got some elbow and shoulder problems, and that's not a woe is me story, but I didn't do everything it took to manage those. So when I would get out on the water for a couple of days at these long national tournaments or those long drives to get there, I mean, my neck felt like it was on fire and I was melting down and I didn't want to be there. I just didn't want to be there. So essentially had me quit tournament fishing other than a few sporadic tournaments here and there. And if I wasn't tournament fishing, I wasn't going recreational fishing either. I mean, I went months without even putting the kayak in the water, which sounds crazy if you'd asked me that 5-10 years ago. But the last 6 months, I've kind of dialed in my eating, got on a real good workout plan. I've eliminated a lot of inflammation in my neck, shoulder, and everything else, trying to get back into fishing more because I do love it. It's a lot of fun. But those obstacles, those physical obstacles, definitely had me pull back the last couple of years. So there's a handful of reasons why I quit over the last couple of years. I wonder if any of you have shared the same thoughts or had the same issues or ran into the same obstacles. I won't even bring up the financial obstacles with inflation out of control and costs going up. Of course, that's a problem for some people. I didn't really think of that as a reason why I didn't want to do it. It was more of just I don't want to spend my time doing this if I'm frustrated with all these other factors I already mentioned. But if finances is an obstacle to one of you, I'd love to see that in the comments because it certainly can be. It's not cheap to go to these tournaments, especially out of town. So this year, what am I going to do to get my mind right and get back into it? I'm going back to where it all began. I'm fishing local events with the natural state kayak anglers. I'll probably dip into Missouri and Oklahoma a little bit too, maybe, but local trails is where everything started. It's really the heart of everything kayak fishing. It's probably the heart of bass fishing, period, because most people aren't on the Elite Series. They fish a bass club in their backyard. So I'm going to fish one-day events, which will be a lot easier physically to handle, and kind of regrow my edge and love for the sport by fishing locally and seeing old friends I haven't seen in a while, because the last few years, not only have I stopped traveling much, I didn't even fish my local trails. So guys that I became friends with here locally, I haven't seen them in a year. I just went to a few tournaments this year here, and it's like, hey, good to see you, buddy. I hadn't seen you in forever, and it's my fault because I haven't been showing up to not only the tournaments, but the weigh-ins or the meetings or anything. I just kind of haven't been going. I mean, you see Ryan and I, if you follow the Kayak Bass Nation podcast, we get on there and talk kayak fishing all the time, but both of us, for different reasons, have not got to kayak fish like we used to. So I know me, I'm trying to get back into it now. Hopefully this local trail is going to light a fire for me, and I can keep up the workout habits and physical things to make sure I can eventually dip back out into the national scene. But really, I want to do some local tournaments, and I just talked to my son on the phone before I made this video. I want to really get more back into recreational fishing. Floating the river is my favorite thing on earth to do. We've got wonderful rivers all around Northwest Arkansas that I've neglected over and over. So I'm looking at another kayak for the river, possibly a canoe, do some wade fishing around the creeks. And my son actually bought a bass boat, so I'm going to hop in his boat some and do some fishing like that. And I've got a newfound love for hunting that'll be coming up this fall. So you'll see a lot of that on this channel probably. But I just wanted to share my thoughts on where I've been and why I haven't really been fishing and why I'm trying to get back into it. So if any of you have anything similar that you've come up against or had those kind of thoughts, please put them in the comments. I'd love to see them. And as always, I appreciate y'all watching.
So I thought that was really good. One thing that I wanted to ask you is if you can go back, what would you tell somebody that's getting into a sport on how to avoid getting burned out?
Just like work-life balance. If you're considering kayak fishing tournaments, you're probably already a angler or think you're a pretty good angler if you're considering throwing some money down on a tournament, right? Especially if it's a national tournament. So whatever you did to become that angler, if you love floating the river, if you love fishing the marsh, if you love fishing, whatever it is, whatever your first love for fishing was, make sure you still do that. Don't become obsessed with just tournament fishing. Balance it out. Pick and choose the tournaments you're going to fish, but don't sacrifice your love for the outdoors just for tournaments. Keep that balance.
I agree. And I think also one of I'm being a little judgmental here, so I wanted to get your insight on it because I'm kind of in the mind that if winning cures everything, you are a sports guy, and we'll talk a little bit about the NBA finals afterwards. I know you love basketball, but you're a sports guy, and I'm a real sports fan as well. One of the things that you always hear in sports talks is winning cures everything. Like, I feel like when people say, hey, I'm done with tournaments, and one thing that I appreciate about what you said is you were being honest and said, things that bother you, and you always reflected like it's not a tournament thing, it's not a bass fishing thing, it's a me thing. Yeah. I'm struggling with it. I'm owning up to it. Versus I hear sometimes people that I talk to that quit tournament fishing, and it's always a complaint about all the rules or blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, always to me, it's like, is it really that? Or is it just that you're not winning?
Right.
Because I think a lot of times when people quit and they point the finger at something other than themselves or the reality of their situation, maybe they can't. Maybe it's never wise to be traveling and spending all this money, maybe for different reasons. But to blame when you're able to, and financially and health-wise, and you all of a sudden quit because you don't like this, you don't like that. To me, it's always like it's because winning cures everything. This is more about you not winning than anything else, and the rest is just a convenient excuse for not keep doing it. Which I think I understand it. That's kind of human nature, but I also don't think it's fair to criticize something when the reality is. It's not that something. It's that you're not getting the results that you wanted. I'm not talking about you specifically.
No. But you're right. But the thing is, both those things can go hand in hand because if you're not bought in, all in, and you really don't want to be there, you're not going to get the results you wanted anyway, unless you're just lucky. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, I mean, I had success in the past. I've won tournaments. I've won Angler of the Years here locally. I've done some different things, cash checks nationally, and that's all fine. But I still got burnt out. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't really fix anything. It's cool to have success. And that video I'm going to post, I mean, spoiler alert, I did pretty good. I cast checked, got a trophy in this last tournament here locally. But that didn't be like, all right, I'm back. Let's go. We're full blown tournaments, to hell with the rest of it. No, it just kind of proved a point that, okay, you can still catch them a little bit, but really it's about having fun. You went and fished the way you wanted to, and it's fun. And you had fun. You fished shallow, you fished the way you wanted to. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm not going to worry about pre-fishing as much. I'm going to go recreational fish. And that, like you asked me for advice for someone that's getting started, is to still do that. Don't take it too serious. Don't take yourself too serious. And make sure you continue having fun.
I think also you have to view it to me, and this is just what works for me to try to avoid burning out. And there's times where I feel like I'm done with not bass fishing or kayak bass fishing, but with tournaments.
Yeah.
To me, it's not about winning or getting the accolades or proving anything to anybody. It's always been measuring stick. I feel like I'm good at bass fishing, but if I just compare myself to myself, then how good am I really doing this? And to me, it's always I want to get better. It's more of like, how do I stack up against the best of the best? And then realistically, like you mentioned in the video, I'm feel the same way. I'm nowhere near the Russ Snyders, Christine Fishers, Guillermo Gonzalez, you reminders of this world. But every now and then I want to feel like I'm making progress, not because I want to make a living out of this, because I certainly don't, and probably never be good enough to do it. But just to feel like a self-accomplishment, like I'm doing something that I view it as a sport more than a hobby, but for myself. Like, am
Yeah,
I
man.
getting good at this? Am I even learning? What have I learned? And doing tournaments kind of forces you to like, okay, I wouldn't consider driving 4 or 5 hours to go to Lake Dardanelle, but because I signed up, I feel committed to do it. It's like signing up to the gym. You can do exercise at home, but the reason why you signed up for a gym is usually that $20 a month kind of gives you a sense of like, well, I need to do it because I'm paying for it.
Yeah, and here's how you can still have fun with like the first tournament I fished this year was a local tournament up on Table Rock. I think I pre-fished for a couple hours one day the week before, and then I finished 14th, 15th, I don't know. But can I tell you how much fun I had that day and how cool it was to figure out, like I figured out what the fish were doing. I was getting a lot of bites. It was fun just to know, hey, you still know how to catch them. You know what I mean? It wasn't about trying to win the tournament. I mean, it would have been cool if I did, but it was just one of them things about being out there and saying, okay, your instincts were right. You made the right call and you picked the right techniques and executed, even if the size wasn't there. And that would be the same thing as if you just went fishing that day with no tournament. Can you figure out how to make them bite? It's just that day there happened to be, it was in a tournament as well. And you can have fun no matter what's going on. Now, when I can't figure it out, I get a little bit mad, and that's whether I'm in a tournament or not. So that part doesn't matter. And that's just fishing. You know, that's part of the learning process.
Yeah, I just think the structure of a tournament, like I have to be here to lines out. I have to get up early, kind of gives you a sense of commitment.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most underrated parts about this, I was talking to my wife the other day, and I actually experienced that before I started the podcast. Short story is like, I think when you're in a tournament or when we're fun fishing and you're struggling, and you force yourself to be patient and stop and think. And the reality is the frustration that's spiraling emotionally down like the rabbit hole of like, I suck. I've been in situations where I'm talking crap to myself, like you can't do anything right. Your dad's right. You're a disappointment. All that stuff. And it's a good exercise of like, all right, no, I'm going to persevere through what's the word? Adversity. And I'm going to figure it out. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But you get up not literally the next day, figuratively the next day, and you get back up and you put up a fight again.
That's right.
It helps you grow as a person. And you and I are both in our 50s. I actually turned 51 tomorrow. You're what, 52 or 53 now?
I'll be 52 in 4 days.
4 days. Oh, look, almost the same birthday. The reality is we don't never stop growing. We never stop maturing. And even today, I got a bed cover for my truck. It didn't comes with instructions, comes with a QR code. The QR code says that part doesn't exist. They don't have a video. I had to dig through the dark web or something to find a PDF file for the same truck of 2016 to finally, and it was like 10 years ago. Before I started bass fishing, I would probably be throwing things in the dumpster and just cursing the heck out of like, I'm done with trying to build this. It's that like, all right, let me be patient. Let me find out where the instructions are. Let me see if I can look up a video. Let me work on it. Those kind of things, I think when you apply that, what you learn bass fishing and be patient, it kind of helps you grow as a person.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, and I've it's weird to me to talk about bailing out on tournaments and, you know, early and all that kind of stuff, because I would laugh at people that did that in the past. I'd be like, what are you doing? Are you some kind of pansy? What are you doing? And you know, it's just one of those things to where when you stop enjoying it, why would you want to be there? You know what I mean? Because even when you're struggling and you're grinding it out and you're going to get up on day 2 and try to figure it out, you're enjoying that part of it.
Yeah.
Right. But if you lose the love for it and lose the enjoyment, that doesn't matter. You don't care about any of that. You're just ready to get out of there. So you need to do things to make sure you keep that balance and keep your love for the catching the fish or whatever it is you're doing. Make sure you keep that love for it before you let the competition take that away.
And also, well, like you mentioned, it's not for a lot of people, it's whether you're winning or not. I go back the other route. It's not necessarily the winning. We look, and I don't want to speak to something I'm not familiar with. You probably more familiar since you're both from Arkansas, but Cody Milton at the top of his game, like when we're all saying like this guy is between him and Russ Snyder, who's the best, and you can make an argument for either one. You and mine was just coming up at this top of his game, like at the highlight when he was winning, he actually just decided to go pickleball. Now, I don't know the reasons I haven't talked to Cody Milton. Maybe you have, since he's from Arkansas as well. But it's one of those things like, yeah, this guy was winning constantly. He was winning AOI. He was the darling of the sport for a while. And he up saying, you know what, I'm going to do something different. This is not maybe what I want to keep doing.
And before that, Cody was an elite golfer, like literally on the threshold of pro level golfer. And then a great fisherman, and now he's into the elite level of pickleball. I mean, he was literally trying to be the best pickleball person out, like the Michael Jordan of pickleball. That was, I think somebody said he was trying to do that. So I mean, he's just an elite competitor, whatever he's doing. So I don't know that he was burnt out on fishing. He might have been, and he just wanted to try.
I think it was just bored, honestly.
Yeah,
like you mentioned, I conquered golf. Now I conquered kayak bass fishing. Let me conquer pickleball.
Yeah.
So, probably conquered something else.
I don't know. And you know, part of that for everybody's different. For me, you know, the older I get, the less serious I get about competition too. You know, I love competition, but not like when I was 35. I can promise you that. You know what I mean? You used to play a lot of basketball. I know you're a hooper at heart. Are you excited about the small market teams in the finals? Yeah, man. I've got the score over here on the other screen.
That's right. The game is today.
Yeah, that's how much I respect you, man. I came on even though it was game 1 tonight.
Bad. I completely forgot about it.
So
I don't watch unless my favorite team is playing.
There's 2 kids on the Oklahoma City Thunder that went to high school down the road here, played on the same high school team, played on the same college team here in Fayetteville where I live, and now they're on the Thunder together. So we got a little inside story to Jalen Williams and Isaiah Joe. Shout out to the Razorbacks.
Who's winning, by the way?
Thunder up by 7 right now.
I don't think anybody's going to beat the Thunder, honestly.
Nah, they're good.
Their defense is just disgusting. That's the best defense I've seen since probably the Detroit Bad Boys.
Probably since the Bulls, baby.
The Bulls, yeah. That was another elite defense with Harper, Rodman, Pippen, and Jordan. Do you enjoy basketball now? But compared, like you and I are both the same age. Like I grew up watching Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, all that. I don't think basketball is as much fun as it used to be. What do you think about basketball?
I do. I like college basketball more than the NBA now because of that. Although this particular playoffs is the closest I've seen to 90s and early 2000s basketball.
Same here.
In forever, because the refs let them play and they were physical. It's the closest thing I've seen in a long time. So I've enjoyed this playoffs.
Yes, they really have, although they have some injuries. I'm a huge Celtics fan. Like I said, I grew up watching the Celtics. When Jason Tatum went down without Achilles, I'm like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
I was super sad about that. But it is what it is. It's injuries are part of it.
Yeah. You know, and I think I'll always love basketball. I wish I could still play. Like, you know, I was playing City League until my mid 40s and then had some issues with my back and had to stop playing. And, but I did survive long enough to play in league with both my boys, which was cool.
I still like the regular LeBron James.
No.
Hopefully your kids were better than LeBron James. But
no, both my kids are good ball players, man. We had a lot of fun with them, but they're all grown up now too. Justin now, my oldest boy, that boy can fish now.
Oh, yeah?
You go subscribe to his channel. I'm a lot outdoors. He's got some hilarious videos over there, but he can catch him out of a mud puddle. He's a better fisherman than I ever was. So he's just never gotten out on the tournament scene really, but he can catch him.
Is he ever gonna get into kayak bass tournaments or just basketball tournaments?
He fished some local tournaments and had some success here locally, won a tournament or two. Then he cashed a few checks, but he was away in the military and he's come back home and he sold his kayak and has a little bass boat now. So I don't know. He may dip back into kayak fishing at some point though.
Hey, by the way, actually, the jumper is the last thing you lose. That's what they all say. So
Yeah, I'll send you a link to a video when we get off this, Armando. You'll enjoy it of the old man launching some threes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's a long time since the Razorbacks have been like. I remember back in the late 80s, early 90s, the Arkansas Razorbacks were a pretty good basketball team, weren't they?
We're pretty good. We've been in the Sweet 16 like 3 out of the last 4 years.
I don't watch them much.
Get out of here! What they were. We went.
Well, they haven't won a national championship. What's the last time they won a national championship?
94.
Have they ever won it?
Yes, 94.
94. Yes, that's why I'm saying like back in late 80s, early 90s.
Man, don't come in here with that kind of slander. We're not having that.
I'm not. I just haven't watched that much NCAA. I've come to I don't watch sports unless my favorite team is playing. And that, whether it's baseball, NFL, soccer, or NBA, my favorite team is playing. I watch it. Maybe I'll watch the finals, maybe game 7 of the finals if it gets there. But I'm not. I think since Jordan retired, I haven't watched an NBA game that's not.
Yeah, I got you. I love watching
my Celtics.
I'll watch San Jose State play some small tech school at midnight because I just love watching basketball. But I saw Wolf's comment. So new passion. You and I were talking about it, Armando. My son got me into bow hunting. He said, "What non-fishing pastime?" My son got me into bow hunting last year, and I'm not good at it at all, but I'm having a blast trying to figure it out. So, I guess that and just being outdoors, doing some things. I also started playing some cornhole last year, but I need to get back into doing that too.
Are you still doing the YouTube cornhole video?
I have that channel, but I haven't posted on it in a while. I need to get it going again. It was fun to mess with. It was fun to see if I could grow a channel from nothing on a random subject like that, and it actually did pretty good.
How many followers did you get?
I went to like over 2,000 subs in
a year.
In a year. I mean, in a year. It's crazy.
I agree with you in the I started bow hunting this year. Now I didn't get I missed 3 chances. My first day of bow hunting, I'll say this, I was kind of proud because a buddy of mine was teaching me the rope. He's been doing it for 12 years, and he's a pretty young kid. He's still in his probably mid 30s. But he was teaching me, and also I'm like, listen, I'm like bass fishing. I don't want the easy route. Show me what's toughest way to bow hunt. And he's like, all right, we're gonna do stock, which is we're not gonna be on the blind, we're not gonna be in the tree. So you have to be on your game as far as being quiet, setting a spot. So he's kind of teaching me and says, all right, we're gonna go, you're gonna pick your spot where you think they're gonna pass. I'm like, all right, based on what he told me, pick the spot. A couple hours in, this bug comes in, and it was just about, I was covered by this natural blind. So there was it was early or late fall, so there was early fall, so there was still pretty much a lot of leaves. I was in good cover, and he was about to pass, and he was going to be like a good clearance with about 5 yards from me. So it's like, this is a no miss shot. And as soon as I turned, I hit the arrow against the ivy, and that thing just gone. So at that point, I was like, man, I haven't been this excited about the outdoors since, I don't know, catching since my first topwater bite on a frog. It was that adrenaline rush. And honestly, I think that helped me not get burnt out fishing, but it gave me something to do to enjoy the outdoors, and also if you have to be patient at bass fishing, good Lord, you have to be extra patient at patience in bow hunting is even more of a mental grind. Yeah. And I think that helped me kind of fall in love back with bass fishing, just being able to do something other than bass fishing.
Yeah. And I think it gets you back in touch with just being outdoors and enjoy being out there instead of being, rushing around doing whatever kind of competition. And I saw some people talk, Diggs comment, I love it, going back to a basics. I know there's a club in Tennessee that does that, where they have some tournaments where it's just like 2 rods, no tech, paddle only or pedal only. That's pretty cool, because I think another thing that could hurt the sport long term is some of the, if you search kayak tournament fishing on TikTok or YouTube, if you're brand new and don't know anything about it, it can be a little bit intimidating, because all you see is boats with 2 graphs, motors, lights, and you're like, well, I can't afford that. Whereas it used to be, you could just buy anything and jump in. So I think that simple trail is awesome.
Yeah, there's always 1 or 2 trails that are like that.
Yeah,
and
cool.
I think it's needed. It's like gives an outlet for those that want to compete, but just feel like you said, like competing against graphs and motors is not their deal.
Yeah, but they still can. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
It's really, the truth is you can show up in a sit inside paddle yak, and if you know how to fish a jig better than anybody, you can still win. I believe that.
Yeah, no, look, Jordan Marshall has proven it. Drew Gregory has proven it. Christine Fisher, I know some of her fish were on her latest video was in live scope, but not all of them.
No, she said it didn't really factor in her winning the tournament when he interviewed her yesterday. So, it's fish how you want to fish, man. That's the point. That's all the point of my whole video is fish how you want to fish so you don't lose the love for it.
Before I let you go, I wanted to ask you how's the thing with the family, your updates on your granddaughter, how's everything doing?
Oh man, she's doing good. Like I said, we were babysitting her this weekend. She was running around with a little toy fishing pole this weekend, actually. She's doing good, still in remission. The little man, they have another son. We have a grandson now, and he's doing good as well. So yeah, I appreciate everybody that followed her story and prayed for her. So we're just tickled with how well she's doing now. So I appreciate you asking that.
Yeah, no, it's a feel good story. And we're really happy about it. We're really, really happy about it. It's amazing. Like Ashley just mentioned on the comments. Man, before I let you go, you want to plug in social media sponsors?
Yeah, man. As always, Old Town. Appreciate Old Town. I've been on the Old Town team since they came out with a pedal drive kayak, and I trust them, trust their boats, and they're doing a lot of big things over there. Whether you want a motor or not, they got whatever you need. So shout out to Old Town. And they, I know Mariner sells them, Eco Fishing Shop sells them. Everybody has Old Town. That's a reputable dealer just about. So shout out to Old Town. And of course, we appreciate anyone that watches the podcast. We've had a lot of fun with that for years. I'm getting some more content going on my personal YouTube channel. That one video was kind of a kickoff to that. And you can go over and check it out. And I'd encourage you, like I said, to go sub my son's channel. His channel's great. He does some really cool fishing stuff over there. A lot outdoors over there on YouTube.
Cool deal, man. Any planning on doing any national tour before the year's over, or just going to stick to
at the end of the year? I'll probably dip into that Big Bass 250 again.
I was about to ask you about that. Yeah,
I'll do that. I may come down and do the 1 day tournament on Fork, the No Limit, the native No Limit.
Yeah,
I'm considering that because it's a 1 dayer. Nationals, probably not, man. No multi-days, probably not this year, but maybe next year. We'll see. And I'll probably be picky and choosy with it. If I know they're going to be suspended and it's July and they're fishing some tournament where I ain't got a shot fishing how I want to fish, I'll probably just slide on by that and go to the river. But if they're going to Caddo and I can go flip trees, I might show up down there,
Hey, if you come to Fork, that invitation to that good barbecue place I told you about, Marshall's Barbecue, is still open, man. Let me know.
Yeah, but I'll be around and I'll be fishing some. I mean, and like I said, that was not a pity me post or anything like that. It was just like, hey, if you're feeling that way, do something to reset yourself. Get out there and hit the river, do what you like to do, and then maybe you'll get that edge back and get back into it.
Yeah, no, I thought, and that's why I wanted to bring you on, because I didn't feel that way at all. It didn't feel like a old man Randy Blockett video, even though we're old man.
Hey, he's on a different thing now, dude. He's complaining that everybody's eating too many fish now. That's his new thing. Oh,
that's what the algorithms told him, probably.
I'm like, what are you talking about? We're not eating enough fish. That's why there's so many 12 inchers.
It's funny you mentioned that. Before I let you go, is I had a bass biologist on I don't know if the real term is biologist, but anyways, he was on the podcast, Steve Barton. And we talked about that. One of the questions is like, what are the bass myth? And it's like, people need to eat more bass. I mean, as long as it's within the regulations of each state, people need to eat more bass. It's actually healthy. And I was one that I never believed that until I had that conversation with him. Now I still can't find in my heart to kill a bass and eat it, but I'm not going to argue with the science.
They're delicious.
That's what they say. All right, Jeff, I'll let you go. Thank you so much. Enjoy the finals, and hope to get to see you on the water. Much success on the water, and also with the Kayak Bass Station.
Yes, sir.
And thanks for coming to the podcast, man. I really appreciate you.
I always appreciate you, man. You do a great job.
All right. For those out there watching, listening, thank you for tuning in. Remember, we have the social media is Bass Kayak and Beers, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can listen also on your favorite podcast streaming platform. If you missed the live show, you can catch it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, All of them. We're on all of them. So have a great night, everyone. If you're going to be on the water, please wear your PFD. Shout out to everybody that commented. Wolf of Wolfmart, Rolando, Ashley, Diggs Outdoors. I'm missing a few, but thank you so much. Tall Kayak Guy or Tall Yak Guy. So thank you again for commenting and give us a follow. Have a great night, everyone. Peace out.